Hello and good evening. I'm Melissa Idris.
And I'm Sharad Kuttan.
Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan may be removed from office this weekend after his move to block a no-confidence vote was ruled unconstitutional. In the days leading up to the blocked no-confidence vote, Imran Khan claimed that his political opponents were in conspiracy with the US to remove him because of his friendly relations with China and Russia. Now, are there geopolitical implications from a likely change of government in Pakistan? Let's ask our first guest, Umair Jamal. He's a correspondent for The Diplomat. He's based in Lahore, Pakistan. Umair, this new vote of no confidence that is expected to force Imran Khan from office, I'm just wondering whether this is the end of the political road for him, or does he have any options left to hold on to power?
Thank you, Melissa. I think the judgment which came out the other day, where Supreme Court overruled Deputy Speaker National Assembly's ruling in which he had rejected the no confidence motion, based on this, evidence that there's a foreign conspiracy afoot to remove the government of Prime Minister Imran Khan. Now, the government sort of based its allegation on the meeting of National Security Council and a letter which was written by a Pakistani diplomat, explaining his conversation with a senior official of the U.S. government. Now, there's a background to that. I think this has happened because Khan's relationship with the military, which actually helped him come to power, has faltered over the last few months. It started back in October when Imran Khan tried to, oppose the Chief of Army Staff's move to remove the then, ISI chief. The guy was, considered closer to Imran Khan, and he was also very instrumental in sort of managing his rule in the country. And after that, Imran Khan to visit to Russia and his comments about the United States and the European Union over the issue of Ukraine has really sort of angered the military. And as per my information, over the last couple of months, the military made a decision to finally, to remove him from power. And the rest of the things we see, they have fallen in line because of that decision which was made a couple of months ago.
So, Umair, if I can just jump in there, just to help us understand, the nature of a Pakistani democracy. You mentioned the intelligence service. I mean, the ISI is Pakistan's intelligence arm, isn't it? Could you help us understand, is there a state within the state in Pakistan? Are these actors the ones pulling the strings? And do they act in concert, or are there divisions even within the military and within the intelligence service that adds to, the dynamics we see playing out?
So basically, in Pakistan, the way it's understood is, this is how it goes, that the military is actually the state in Pakistan. And when we talk about democracy, it exists, in appearance, but there is a whole politics involving the military's own interests, and then they have a huge apparatus in the form of security services, which actually help maintain, balance in domestic politics. They have just, they support some parties at time, and then they oppose other parties, and that's how it's usually played in Pakistan. And once the military chief is actually considered the guy who makes all the decisions, then yes, there are differences of opinion within the military. There are differences of opinion, but the final decision is made by the top authority, which is the Chief of Army Staff. But Imran Khan tried to do something which actually was not appreciated by Chief of Army Staff General Bajwa. he tried to develop a close relationship with the former ISI chief General Faz, and who Imran actually wanted to take over after the retirement of General Bajwa, something Bajwa always opposed because of different reasons. And then the relationship between Imran and General Bajwa was crippled and has gone, it has gone beyond repair now. And the voting and the no confidence motion, which was filed on March 8th, actually happened when parties who were part of Imran Khan's government left the ruling alliance, and two parties are from Balochistan, that is the province where military is considered, to have control, to have sort of overwhelming control over political leaders, and the both
right.
left Imran Khan. They're considered very close to the military leadership. So it's for many people, it's simply happening because the military wanted this to happen, and the opposition parties saw an opportunity and they got together. And there's some information that they are being helped by the military as well.
Okay. Well, against this backdrop of the political crisis, Umair, I mean, Pakistan is also facing an economic crisis. The sliding rupee, the surging inflation, falling foreign currency reserves, and if I'm not mistaken, the central bank has significantly increased the interest rates there. I'm just wondering, because we're talking to you now just days after we also looked at Sri Lanka and its economic crisis there. I'm just wondering, are there similarities that you see, particularly because in Sri Lanka, it was the kind of economic pressures that had caused the political turmoil. Do you see similar political implications of this economic crisis?
Well, one could argue that Pakistani economy is in its worst form, and making it further worse is the politics of how things have evolved over the last month. Pakistan is on an IMF program. Pakistan essentially runs on loans and money taken from Western banks. And largely those banks and loans, all those programs, they usually come with the US's approval. And the meeting which Imran Khan talks about is actually a meeting with a US official. It has been confirmed where they said they could make Pakistan's life difficult. And the military leadership is very aware of that. If economy goes out of control, then you cannot do in politics. We have seen what has happened in Sri Lanka, because the military stakes in the end of the day are to keep the economy afloat, even if we need to take loans. But unless we have the US's support, which actually has a lot of say when loans are approved by IMF and other Western institutions. So the military is actually tried to curtail Imran, to stop him from making all these public statements. But he is someone who does not listen to. And when he saw that the military was actually trying to help the opposition, he became more louder and more public with his criticism of the US. And he sort of, I would argue, went as far as creating this foreign conspiracy out of a simple communication which happened between a Pakistani diplomat and a Western an official of a US official of a Western country.
Right. So if you could just pick up from, sorry, so if I could just ask you, there is this other issue. Not only did he block the vote of no confidence, but he also tried to dissolve parliament and lead the country into a general election. I believe that has been thwarted as well. So could you help us understand that dimension of the current crisis, and if he was allowed to dissolve parliament and take the country into a general election, would he win? And who are the contenders in that game?
So basically, as according to Pakistan Constitution, once motion of no confidence is fired, a prime minister cannot dissolve the assembly. And what Imran Khan really did is he thought that if he could use this alleged foreign conspiracy to delegitimize the no confidence motion and have the speaker rejected, and once the no confidence motion is rejected, he could dissolve the assembly. That would then be constitutional. But he did that. But then the Supreme Court took the suo motu action, and they actually called the opposition and the government legal teams and debated whether the decision of the speaker was legal or unconstitutional. So what they ruled yesterday was that speaker's ruling was unconstitutional, and they have restored the assembly again. Now Imran Khan is again prime minister until tomorrow 10:30 a.m. when the vote is against going to happen. So if, as it looks, the opposition has the numbers, they have attained majority, and if we add it to the military support, as it looks, Imran Khan is likely to lose the vote tomorrow. And if
okay,
the vote, yeah.
Saturday, 10:30 a.m. is Imran Khan's cutoff time. Can I just ask you, I mean, many of us here in Malaysia know Imran Khan as, former cricket star turned politician. Can I ask you what you think defines his tenure as Prime Minister? How would you rate his performance as Prime Minister? Has governance improved during his time?
Well, I think he did during the last 3 years, there were 3-4 major programs which will be remembered as his, the key sort of interventions during. One was the this SAS program, which is one of the largest healthcare programs where every family gets 1 million rupees funding for any sort of health emergency. And then he also introduced this Billion Trees Tsunami program, where it has also been recognized globally. With Khan's government, they have planted over 1 billion trees, and it's a good initiative. And it's really significant if one takes into account the weather, the environmental challenges and the risks that Pakistan faces. And the third important, I think, intervention is that how Imran Khan's government managed the COVID, challenge. Pakistan being a developing country, we were not expecting to come out of this crisis as I would say, the sort of performance Imran Khan's government gave was very commendable, and it's also been just recognized globally. So I think these three initiatives will define Imran Khan's legacy. And on the other side, he'll also be remembered someone who was less focused on governance and more focused on carry out policies which actually made more enemies for him, and he wasn't able to make a lot of friends when he was in power. So that is one thing I think he will have to.
Yeah, Umair, can we look very briefly at his international profile? The last time we had you on the show, we were talking about the KL conference. He has tried to play a role within the Muslim world. He has been criticized for his position on the Uyghurs. I mean, it's a mix of things. Could you very quickly tell us how you would rate him as a prime minister, kind of internationally?
I think, his personality, he's very outspoken. The background of him being being a sports person and who was able to achieve a lot for Pakistan, and then he's someone who is known globally. He did have that that persona with him when he came to power, and even so far when you talk about Imran Khan's recognition as a leader and his view of people internationally, I think they still consider him someone who could take out Pakistan from the current financial crisis and political crisis, and who could actually form an independent foreign policy. But that's just based on, I think, on Imran Khan's personality as someone who has been known for a long time as a sports person, as a celebrity, as a leader who has been famous. But then when it comes to real politics of Pakistan, he hasn't been able to do a lot. He wasn't effective in terms of governance. Was the largest province of Punjab. The governance there has actually faltered in the last 3 years. Imran appointed someone who is, nobody as a chief minister, and his own party has refused to support him in Punjab. So I think as someone, as a leader who is seen internationally, I think he will continue to maintain his persona. But as domestically, he will not be remembered as someone who was a good leader in terms of governance.
Thank you so much, Omar Jamal, correspondent for The Diplomat there, joining us from Pakistan. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back with more on this topic. Stay tuned. Hi, thank you so much for staying with Shrad and I on Consider This. Let's continue our look at the unfolding political crisis in Pakistan. This after the Supreme Court there had ruled that Prime Minister Imran Khan acted unconstitutionally in blocking a no-confidence vote against him. Let's speak now to Dr. Azharuddin Mohammad Dali. He is a senior lecturer at the Department of History under the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at University Malaya. Dr. Azharuddin, this new no-confidence vote against Imran Khan is expected to force him from office. Apparently, our previous guest said that he has until Saturday, 10:30 a.m. before he is removed. I'm just wondering, from a geopolitical perspective, might there be implications from a change of government in Pakistan?
Thank you, Marisa. Thank you, Astro AWANI as well. I think looking from geopolitics and Pakistan relationship with other countries, I think they will undergo some changes there and here, especially involving, for example, the United States and Western countries, and most probably Russia, and may not have so great an impact on India, China, or Afghanistan. I will explain that. For example, now President Biden might not put Pakistan as a priority at the moment, I think, because issue between what happened in Europe and whatever. But he know that as long as military maintaining power and control, especially in foreign and security policy of Pakistan, whatever happened to Imran Khan was not a major concern to U.S. But for U.S., for United States, those who hold power in Islamabad, I think need to be in line with the U.S. policy, and for those who are not, they need to be thrown out. This is what happened to Pakistan. I mean, to Imran Khan. And I think most serious issue was Imran visit to Moscow. And I think this is kind of nail in the coffin for Imran Khan. And I think new regime, which friendly with Washington, need to taking over power from Imran government. This was a major campaign by Imran. If we follow Imran Khan campaign, that U.S. interventions in Pakistan affair and etc. So I do believe that Imran still have some support from his supporter, and we still do not know what will happen until the end. This is
Sorry, if
Yeah,
I could just sort of ask you, because I understand you're actually in the Department of History, and not to take us back to the partition, I guess, and the formation of Pakistan, but to help us understand a little bit about, this question of whether Imran Khan, he had the aspirations of having an independent foreign policy, whether countries like Pakistan are sort of trapped within a certain historical framework, right? Something that was established a long time ago in terms of big power dynamics in that part of South Asia. For instance, an independent foreign policy possible?
Saraj, I think yes, in the sense that the relationship between U.S. and Pakistan is quite intimate in terms of the U.S. policy towards the Central Asia and South Asia. Pakistan still plays a major role. So when, and this is a long history since the independence of Pakistan, and suddenly Pakistan look more toward other countries, especially Russia, compared to Afghanistan, compared to United States. So this is, I think, that Washington really don't like the Imran Khan policy. This is what happened in Pakistan. History is still tight between Pakistan and United States, and of course, don't forget about India and Afghanistan as well. In terms of that, we cannot just say that Imran Khan have to change. The policy of Imran Khan very different from the policy of different prime minister earlier. Then this is what happened to Pakistan at the moment.
Right. Well, I want to ask about Pakistan in terms of its role in the Muslim world. If we cast our memory back to when the KL summit was mooted as perhaps a challenger to the OIC. Pakistan, so Malaysia was really heavily involved, Turkey and Pakistan driving the KL summit. I'm just wondering where you see Pakistan's role or a leadership role by Pakistan in the Muslim world, and particularly under the leadership of Imran Khan.
I think after Mahathir, our ex-Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir, I think the latest vocal leader is actually Imran Khan. Even though as vocal as Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir, Imran Khan actually in front row of issue on Islamophobia and things like that. And the how Imran Khan bring Pakistan to close with other Muslim countries, especially Turkey, Qatar, United Emirates of Arabia, and of course Malaysia and other countries, and how Imran Khan bring Muslim issue about Palestinians, about what happened among the Muslims in India. So that's the reason
Dr.
why.
Azharuddin, didn't he fail when it came to the Uyghurs of China? On that issue, didn't he fail the Muslim world, or at least fail the Uyghurs?
Yeah, that's the problem with the Imran Khan, because Pakistan still depend heavily toward China in terms of economic. So Pakistan and Imran Khan cannot really talk about what happened in among the Muslims in China compared to other Muslim countries. Yeah, and as you know, the relationship between Beijing and Islamabad is quite cordial, quite good. Yeah? And of course, this is based on China-Pakistan economic corridor, which is very important to Pakistan economic value about 60 billion. Without that, I think Pakistan might have problem in terms of economic. Yeah, Pakistan still depend to China in terms of that.
Okay, so Dr. Azrin, if I can sorry, don't interrupt you. We have a couple of minutes left. Very quickly, what would you like to see, at least from a Malaysian perspective, what kind of continuity in terms of policies, especially in terms of a relationship between Muslim nations, would you like to see continue? Whether Imran Khan continues to be in Islamabad or helming Islamabad or not?
Yeah, that's we have to see what happens later on. But in terms of Malaysian perspective, we are always a good relation with Pakistan or even with India and with other countries as well. So I think even though they do have a regime change, they do have a new prime minister and new government, but we always have a good relation with Pakistan. So I don't think we, in terms of Malaysian and Pakistan relations, they will have a big change in terms of that. So I don't think Pakistan and Malaysia will have new policy or whatever. So I think we still have a good relation with Pakistan.
All right. Dr. Azharuddin, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. Dr. Azharuddin Dali from University Malaya there, and that wraps up this episode of Consider This. I'm Melissa Idris.
And I'm Sharad Kuttan, signing off for the evening.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely weekend and good night.
Good night.